So here's a self-test. Just think about this as we go along. What is the actual perception of your department's value? In many companies, the credit department is very well perceived by some, and maybe all of the other stakeholders and your management and your customers. That's wonderful, but that's not necessarily so. What is the actual perception of your department's value? You might want to go around and ask and see how your department is perceived. What's the perception of your role? Do other people know what your role is? What your scope of responsibility is? You might find that there's a total misunderstanding of what your role is, and that is something that you can correct through better communication. What's the perception of your personal and your department's effectiveness? Is your department perceived as a real contributor to the company, or are you perceived maybe as a cost center that is a have to have? So what is the perception? Is your personal perception? Do people see you as a valuable asset to the company? And how's the department perceived by your customers? That's something definitely to ask on a periodic basis. How do we compare to other credit departments that you're working with? Are we easy to work with? Do we communicate well when we need something, and how we want to move forward with your business? Are we perceived as a no department, an obstacle in the business cycle, or are we perceived as somebody that is reasonable to deal with? We can make deals. It's not necessarily everything that is always wanted by the customer, but at least they understand that you're willing to negotiate some sort of arrangement that is acceptable. So it's a good idea once in a while just to test this, to see what is the actual perception of you and your department. How's the department perceived by sales? Do they perceive you as a department that sucks the lifeblood from every deal that they present to you? That you're slow to respond when they need a quick response? Are you too concerned about controls versus helping achieve revenue objectives? Or are you perceived as a guardian angel? And that really is a role that we can play in credit. Somebody that enables sales, avoids unreasonable risks, that waste sales time. No salesperson wants to waste time on a non-starter account. And by being involved in the front end and giving advice as to special conditions or things that are needed for credit to be approved, it can really be an assist to sales. And in some companies, when there's a write-off, there's a commissions reversal. I've heard some real horror stories from salespeople about unexpected commissions reversals because they just didn't know that a particular customer wasn't paying their bills. So are you preventing that and enabling them to have a steady flow of income? How is you and your department perceived by your boss? What does your boss think of your department? Do they perceive your department as kind of a backroom administrative function, somewhere deep in the accounting department somewhere, and they just don't understand the value that your department brings to the company? Or do they perceive you as somebody who's a collaborator, somebody who's a deal maker, somebody that works with other stakeholders in your company to make sure that the best interests of your company are upheld?